What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Today I want to get into why OU should be the #1 ranked team in college football tomorrow night. That'd be Tuesday night. That'd be November 28th night. I want to tell you about one mind-blowing stat that has happened during the Riley Mayfield era. I want to talk about this bonkers, silly season, fam, of coaching searches, coaching hires. I want to talk about how the Tennessee Volunteers fan base is a lot like the Somali pirates who took over Captain Phillips' ship. You know, Captain Phillips, the movie with Tom Hanks. Maybe you read the book. It's a good movie. It came out in 2013. Go watch it, fam. And I want to talk about why the return of the Big 12 championship game is the best thing to happen to the Big 12 since the Big 12 ended having a championship game. We're also going to get into Trae Young. Yes, basketball is on the menu for today's video. We're going to talk about Trae Young and how he is the best OU freshman to play at Oklahoma since Blake Griffin. And all of that's coming up after the bumper. If you're new to my channel or this is your first time here, consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU football related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. All right. Bumper.
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
So I'm recording this video at 10:30 a.m. on Monday, so it might be out of date by 6 p.m. when it goes live tonight. However, one thing that we know is true is Dan Mullen said sayonara, thank you and goodbye. I can't take Starkville no more to become the new head coach at Florida. Well, you might remember because Dan Mullen's coached the Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin offense that ran roughshod over OU in the 2008 national championship.
That I'm still salty about.
Should have been number 8 in 08, but now we got to get number 8 in 17. A report surfaced late last night that Scott Frost had been offered the job in Nebraska and was all but set to go. But as of this morning, it looks like UCF is trying to make a bid to hold on to Scott Frost instead of trying to let Scott Frost go home. Nebraska's got more money. Nebraska's got more prestige. I think it's only a matter of time. I honestly think that Scott Frost is trying to do the right thing by his players, but I also think that he's gone to Nebraska. It just makes too much sense. Then again, it's college football where nothing makes sense. Like the entire Tennessee fan base rising up as one to take the wheel from athletic director John Currie and say, nope, not today, to Greg Schiano becoming their next head coach. All right, this story is bonkers for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is because the Tennessee Volunteer fan base made like the Somali pirates and Captain Phillips and said, look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. Reports have surfaced all over saying that Tennessee was set to announce Greg Schiano as their head coach and to have a press conference later Sunday night. But we had volunteer fans with signs picketing like college football is politics to keep Greg Schiano from becoming the next head coach at Tennessee. But it turns out college football is politics because a representative in Tennessee tweeted about how he had called John Currie, the athletic director of Tennessee, and said, none of us like this hire. None of us like Greg Schiano. Politicians getting involved in college football. Miss me with that. Go legislate or something. Then former NFL star Albert Haynesworth went to Twitter to say that if Greg Schiano becomes the new head coach of Tennessee, I will be taking my money and my time elsewhere. We got boosters wanting to become free agents now, dog. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Can you imagine if Boone Pickens was a free agent booster for hire? Do you know how many college football programs would be backing up the truck to Boone Pickens talking about, you want a suite named after you, not just the stadium, but the entire university? We'll change the entire name university to Boone Pickens University. Not just stadium, but the entire university. Please give us all of your money. So there is no head coach at Tennessee as of this recording, but if there is one, I gotta believe that it's gonna be somebody who's really desperate to go into an extremely bad situation in Knoxville, where the AD has no backbone, is also the same guy who ran Frank Martin out of Kansas State, and all Frank Martin did was take South Carolina to the Final Four. You know, no big deal there. But speaking of one who went into a bad situation, Texas A&M apparently wants to make an offer to Jimbo Fisher at Florida State, who's coming off his own dismal football season in a year where he was projected to play for a national championship. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen because why would Jimbo Fisher leave the prestige and the money of Florida State to go to Texas A&M? It's not even 1-to-1, it's a 1-to-1. He'd be going in the opposite direction. But put all that aside and see his contract. I say see his contract because Jimbo Fisher has a $40 million buyout. That's 8 figures. 40. $40 million to buy you out of your contract? Are you kidding? To say nothing of the $5.5 million that Jimbo Fisher already makes at Florida State. Now, I know A&M is desperate, but they ain't desperate to the tune of buying somebody out by $40 million and then offering them the equivalent of basically a $6 million contract over what I gotta believe would be about 5 years. So you would essentially spend $70 million on a head coach. That's how desperate A&M is. But it turns out A&M could be even more desperate than that. If they don't get Jimbo Fisher, and they won't, they've already said that they're willing to make a run at Gary Patterson, who signed an extension at TCU. And while I think that Gary Patterson might be an okay hire at A&M, he's not going anywhere. He loves TCU, and TCU loves him. He can continue to have 10-2 seasons, and they'll be just fine. Nobody expects to win national championships at TCU. It's nice when they get a top 10 ranking. That's where they're at. That's a very comfortable place for Gary Patterson and the Horned Frog Nation to be. Horned Frog Nation,
fight me.
However, if they don't get Jimbo Fisher, and they won't, and they don't get Gary Patterson, and they won't, they are willing to settle for, wait for it, fam, Mike Gundy. No, not the other Mike Gundy, the one at Oklahoma State, that Mike Gundy. They are willing to try to make a run at Mike Gundy to be their next head coach if you believe the coaching rumors, and you can believe none of them or believe all of them. But I know from working in media that you don't report something like this or put it out there like this unless you know from somebody what is going on. And it seems like what is going on in Texas A&M is straight chaos, fam. But on the flip side, please, take Mike Gundy. I will laugh. I will belly laugh with the best of them. Because there would be nothing funnier than watching Mike Gundy go down to A&M, get owned by a bad Arkansas team, get owned by Vanderbilt, get owned by a Tennessee team that's trash, get owned by Mark Stoops in Kentucky. What I'm saying is Mike Stoops will get owned in the SEC because he's owned in the Big 12. The Oklahoma State recruiting Twitter account tweeted this nonsense about how, you know, their offense has the first 4,000-yard passer, two 1,000-yard receivers, and 1,000-yard rusher in Big 12 history. To which I say, 62-52! You got all that firepower and you still can't beat Oklahoma. How bad are you? You're so bad that Baker Mayfield has more Bedlam wins than Mike Gundy has in his entire career as a head coach. I mean, because Oklahoma State stays trash! Speaking of Baker Mayfield and Lincoln Riley have done something that no other FBS football team has done. They have gone 11-0 in championship November. Riley and Mayfield have led the team to an average of 47 points per game. And again, have not lost in the month of November. That means championship November belongs to Oklahoma and Oklahoma alone. That is high cotton. High cotton is a pre-Civil War term that was used to describe the price of cotton in a good harvesting year. I only know that because I'm getting a PhD in English and I don't get to bring that up enough because I want to be Dr. RJ. I also think this is a really great time to really appreciate Bob Stoops, and not just the manner that he stepped down and not just the hands that he left the program in, but the timing. Can you imagine what people would be doing to try to get Lincoln Riley to be their head football coach had Bob Stoops not stepped down in June and made Lincoln Riley the head man at OU? He would have already been gone. It's likely, and I'm not joking here, that Lincoln Riley would be the next head coach at Tennessee, A&M, Mississippi State. Take your pick. But I really would like Mike Stoops at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, please come get Mike Stoops. I'm not joking. Please, prayer hands, come get Mike Stoops. Please come get Mike Stoops. He's destroying my defense. Nah, for real, I need Mike Stoops to get a head coaching job. I need him to get a head coaching job so, you know, we can get another defensive coordinator. I want Jeremy Pruitt. I'll settle for Ruffin McNeil. Speaking of Jeremy Pruitt, so in the aftermath of Nick Saban's loss to Auburn, Nick Saban tried to give an argument for why he thinks Alabama should be in the college football playoff. What? You're not going to play again until bowl season. You're not in the conference championship. Look, there's this quote floating around that nobody's been to pin down, but it sounds just like Nick Saban when he would say something like, a team that doesn't win their conference championship has no business playing for a national championship. Even if he didn't say that, it's still true. If you haven't won your conference championship, you have no right to play for a national championship. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You cannot be one of the 4 best teams in college football and haven't won your conference championship. Which sounds like I just made an argument for Wisconsin, but I really didn't, because UCF could also go undefeated and win their conference championship and not make it in the college football playoff. And because I believe that conference championships are important, I would like to see UCF slide in the top 4 ahead of Wisconsin, because I think the UCF's a better football team than Wisconsin. Badger Nation,
fight me.
No, seriously, I'm going to give you my rankings right now for what I think the College Football Playoff Committee should have in its top 4, in the Final 4 in the College Football Playoff. At number 1, we have Oklahoma. Why? According to the AP rankings, Clemson is number 1. But by my math, Clemson lost to Syracuse. Syracuse has a losing record. Oklahoma State beat Pittsburgh. We beat Oklahoma State. And then Pittsburgh beat Miami. So there's no way that the ACC eventual conference champion, whether it be Miami or Clemson, should be ranked ahead of OU, because we have beaten teams that have beaten them. Follow that logic. Which is kind of my point, because the college football playoff doesn't use logic in its rankings. It's like they've been watching Wheel of Fortune reruns instead of college football and just keep spinning the wheel going, that one doesn't make any sense. So, since it doesn't make any sense, at number 2, I have Baker Mayfield's crotch grab. At number 3, I have Obo Oronquo's biceps. And at number 4, I have Austin Seibert's career-long 51-yard field goal, because he had this tweet where place kick holder Connor McGinnis went 9 of 9, including 51 yards against West Virginia. Austin Seibert had the humor and the awesomeness to tweet on behalf of his holder to say, hey, Connor McGinnis went 9 of 9, including a long of 51 yards against West Virginia. You should probably give him a vote for the Mortrell Award. Austin Seibert, you're awesome. No, but realistically, the college football playoff ranking should probably look like number 1 at Oklahoma. Number 2 should probably be Auburn, because Auburn beat Georgia. Number 3 should be UCF. And I guess we can squeeze Wisconsin in there for now. But I honestly think that Ohio State's going to hand Wisconsin their head on Saturday, so we won't have to hear any more Wisconsin anymore because Wisconsin's schedule has been trash. Speaking of conference championships, I'm really excited to see the Big 12 title game on Saturday because it's going to be the first Big 12 title game since 2010. Let me tell you what's changed since the Big 12 last had a title game. Number 1, Bob Stoops was the head coach. Number 2, Nebraska's head coach was Bo Pelini. Number 3, Brent Musburg was on the call for the game on ABC. TCU was still in Mountain West. And OU was still skull dragging Mac Brown. But no, real talk. The Big 12 title game was implemented so that we didn't have to hear any more of this noise about how the Big 12 conference champion should not be in the college football playoff because it was hurting us. It was hurting us from a prestige standpoint. It was hurting us from a look at us the last weekend standpoint. And it was hurting us from a perception of the Big 12 looking crazy. I mean, the Big 12 is a 10-team league that still calls itself the Big 12. It also eliminated divisions. So the round robin effect didn't really have the kind of effect that the Big 12 commissioner wanted it to have. It also looked like the Big 12 didn't have any stability because, well, everybody keeps wanting to come and go, keep wanting to add teams. You know, there's always talk of Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC or the Pac-12. There's always talk of BYU joining the Big 12, Houston joining the Big 12, Memphis joining the Big 12. And that doesn't make it look like the Big 12 has a plan. Plus, we have this bias against the defenses in the Big 12, where Gary Patterson actually said it best. If everybody had to play OU and Oklahoma State, they would get 35 dropped on them too, because those offenses are just that good. But as we see, college football has a defense bias, and that's because of Alabama. Alabama puts outstanding defenses on the field. Alabama wins national championships. So naturally, people think that you have to have a great defense to win a national championship, when really no. The game is played in a manner that you need to score more points. That's how you determine who wins. And nobody scores more points than OU. So that's what I want to see at Jerry World on Saturday at 11:30. I want to see OU run it up on TCU, leave no doubt about who the number 1 ranked team is, so that we can get a great semifinal matchup, and then we can go win a national championship and get our 8th. Last, I want to talk about the 5-star that we haven't talked about at all on this channel, and we will start talking about more often as we get through football season because, well, we're kind of in the middle of a national championship run here. But Trae Young, no relation, dropped 43 on Oregon over the weekend. Trae Young has already become the best freshman to play at OU since Blake Griffin. Little background on Trae Young if you don't know. He is the first 5-star recruit to come to OU since Tiny Gallon, who should have been called 55-gallon drum because that's how he looked. He's a hometown kid. He went to Norman North, torched high school basketball, torched AAU basketball, turned down a chance to play for Team USA so he could get to OU's campus early to start working on his game. Look, back when I was covering Oklahoma basketball, Oklahoma hoops, I was covering Trae Young. I was writing about Trae Young and what he was thinking to do at the time. It looked like Kansas and Kentucky were at the front of the list, at the front of the line. Did a lot of talking to his dad, Rayford, who's a really cool dude. But the hope was always that Trae Young would come to OU and be the thing that Lon Kruger couldn't build around again. And it's already looking like he's become that guy. Trae Young is averaging 28, 4, and 8. That's 28 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists per game. And he's got range. Bruh, Trae Young is within range from the parking lot. Trae Young is the centerpiece. He is the go-go gadget up Lon Kruger's sleeve. Shooting 47% from the field, he's the next Buddy Hield holding his Mayfields. You dig? He averaged over 42 a game as a senior at Norman North. Think about that. Every time Trae Young stepped on the hardwood as a high school senior, he was gonna drop 40. Not liable to, not could, was going to drop 40. The 43 that he scored as a freshman were the most scored by an OU player since Buddy Hield dropped 46 in an overtime loss against Kansas in Lawrence. You might also remember that Buddy Hield was a senior on that team. Trae Young is a freshman. He's next. He is the piece that I expect Lon Kruger to build around, and nobody knows how to coach better than Lon Kruger. It's one of the highlights of watching an OU basketball game. It's watching the subtle adjustments that Lon Kruger can make on the fly. What I'm saying is, Lon Kruger is the anti-Mike Stoops. Think of all the mistakes that Mike Stoops makes, flip them. Because Lon Kruger's never going to get out-coached. That's one of the things I love most about Lon Kruger. He is never going to get out-coached. Ever. He's always going to get his players in position to win. And it seems like he knows exactly what to do with Trae Young, who has no problem driving to the basket, backing out, and then dropping one in from 28 feet. So as we approach the national championship and as we cycle through winning a national championship football, we'll get a little bit more basketball coverage. Still OU football channel. You guys know that. But I'm a fan of OU winning. I'm a fan of Oklahoma winning everything. I want OU to be one of the best athletic programs ever. That's my hope. That's my dream. I think that's what most of y'all's hopes and dreams are too. Alright, that's it for me. If you like the videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow. Deuces.